Welcome to Next. I'm Matthew Izatt. I'm the product lead for the Workspace platform and ecosystem. I realize I'm standing up here. It's been like 4 years since I stood up on a stage and not in front of a tiny screen, so it's great to have an audience again. I'll be joined later by my peers and colleagues, Ava and Genevieve. You're probably aware Workspace's mission is to meaningfully connect people so they can create, build, and grow together. And today, what we want to do is spend some time talking about the Workspace platform and how it will help you create and build things, and especially help you use AI to supercharge and superpower how people work. We'll start with the vision, talk a little bit more about how we see the platform, where we see it going, dive into some aspects of workflows. Of course, I'll be sure to touch on some of the new capabilities that we've launched recently or are launching soon. And then we're really excited that we have our partner Atlassian here to come up on stage and talk with you all and give our perspective on how they see the ecosystem surrounding Workspace and the partner experience and how that really benefits our end users and joint customers. So let's jump right in. I probably don't have to tell you some of these numbers, especially that first one. Workspace is the most popular productivity tool in the world. With over 3 billion users, that's a really huge market for folks who are developing solutions for Workspace. But a lesser known number, and perhaps one that's actually more important if you're building for Workspace and looking for an audience, is 10 million paying customers. Those are businesses of all sizes, ranging from a very small business, like maybe your local florist, all the way up to some of the largest corporations in the world. And these are paying customers who are looking for solutions, not just from Google, not just from Workspace, but from our partners as well. So it's really a huge opportunity there for partners who are building things on top of Workspace. Now we see the manifestation of that in our marketplace, where there's been over 5 billion downloads of apps and add-ons out of our marketplace. This allows, obviously, end users to extend the capabilities of our platform even more and gain the benefit of the things that developers are building on top of our platform. So clearly, developers have a huge opportunity and a huge way to achieve some success on Workspace through the size of the audience. But that's not everything. We also have a very extensive platform with a lot of REST APIs and foundational elements underpinning the platform. But more importantly than that, our platform is built upon safety and trust at its core. And that's secure by design. It's not bolt on or think about afterwards. When our team sits down, we're designing a new API, a new feature, we foundationally think about how that will be secure. And security means a number of things to a number of folks. From an end user's or a customer's perspective, they want to have transparency in terms of how data is being used, how it's going to be used, what access any type of application has to that data. And from the perspective of a developer, you also want to make sure that it's powerful and yet relatively easy to integrate into. And so my team spends a lot of time on an everyday basis, really, thinking about how to reconcile those two things. How do we make sure the platform is very secure, while also making sure it's easy to access for users and easy to use for developers? Now, as we've all seen, generative AI is a great leap forward for AI. And we're really excited to help you plug in and bring the power of AI to Workspace and to our joint customers. But AI isn't new to us. We've been building features with AI for years. And building features with AI safely and correctly requires a lot of deep expertise. And so that's one of the reasons we pop up this slide repeatedly is to, it feels like Gen AI is a moment that happened in the last 6 months. But really, Workspace and Google have been working on this area for close to a decade. And so in many ways, though, we're really just getting started. Now, this morning, you may have heard from Aparna in the keynote a number of new generative AI features, things like assisted writing, ways of helping end users be more productive inside of Workspace. And this is the first manifestation that we see of AI and workflows in Workspace. It's helping users within our first-party apps, so Gmail, Docs, Sheets, and Slides, Meet. But we want to go beyond that, especially when we're talking about a platform. So the place where we go next is how do we enable single or simple workflows to transcend beyond just our first-party apps into second-party, like developer or customer internal apps, and into third-party applications. And so you'll see some things here today, as well as things coming up in the future related to our vision of how we can allow Duet to interact with third-party actions and third-party data and incorporate that in order to provide even better responses. So for example, in the assisted writing case, how can Duet take advantage of not only information from Workspace, but other information that the customer has in order to help you write even better? In the long run, where this leads is the ability for AI to run complex, multi-step workflows. Those are workflows where you might move back and forth between a Workspace app and a third-party app and maybe a system internal tool repeatedly, but you could probably describe that work in a couple sentences. It's complex to carry out, but relatively simple for you to describe. So in the long run, we are trying to get to a point where you can describe that and have a platform where third-party apps, customer internal apps, all can be integrated into that single platform and then allow the user to interact with a single thing to execute tasks across all of those pieces. Now that all sounds pretty fantastic, but let me draw back a little bit to workflows and where we are today, because there's a lot of things you can do today with workflows. And so I'd like to walk you through a scenario and walk you through some of the examples of things which you can do, end users can do today using some of our partners. And so to help us walk through this, let's use a sample person. This person symbol is not a real company, just for folks who are concerned. This is a sample persona. So let's imagine Chris is an engineering manager at a company called Symbol. And as it turns out, Chris and his team have been asked to build a new mobile application. And they use numerous apps when they are working, spanning Google Workspace, but they also have specialized apps for visual design, task and bug tracking. They have an IDE, they have code repos, they have to debug issues. And as much as we might all like to focus on building mobile apps, we also have to update leadership, we have to communicate with outside teams. There's a lot of different things that we have to do for building a mobile app. And these involve a lot of different applications along the way. So let's look at some of the things that Chris might have to do. He's got to create a plan, set up some task tracking. He has to schedule some time with his team. This is like most of us are living as a hybrid team, in the office some days, not in the office other days, but they have to meet up and brainstorm and create some mocks. He's got to remember to update his leadership and share project details. So let's walk through each one of these and see how that's enabled by some of the partners that are in our ecosystem. So to first connect his team, and get his team set up, Chris is going to start in chat. He's going to connect and create a new Jira project right from within Google Chat. Google Chat's going to be the place where Chris and his team are discussing issues and concepts. So that's the foundational place where they're doing a lot of their communication. And so he's going to set up that project right from within chat. Then he wants to set up that meeting. As I mentioned, it's a hybrid workplace. People are in the office, in different offices at different times. Our partner Comeen has created a great add-on that will allow Chris to figure out who is in what office, book the appropriate sized meeting room, because there may be 7 people who claim they're in who live in Toronto, but only 3 who are actually coming to the office that day. And no one likes when you reserve a meeting room that's like way too big for the set of people who are coming in. That's definitely a problem at Google. I'm not sure about other folks. Comeen really helps Chris solve that problem. And so Chris is now able to schedule a meeting, get the right conference room, and have it fit for the people who are physically present at the time. Now in that meeting, obviously they're going to be using Google Meet. Some folks will be live in person, some folks will be online, but they want to do dynamic design. And so what this team is going to do is they're going to look at their mocks in Figma, and they're going to do that directly within Meet, using Figma's Meet add-on. So directly within Meet, that's an interactive view of Figma. The entire team can interactively work on their designs and collaborate right there. So next best thing to being there in person. Now finally, as I mentioned, we're going to have to update leadership. And we're going to use one of the features that we heard this morning from our partner. We use AI-assisted writing in docs. And as part of that, we're going to add some third-party smart chips. I mentioned that we were using Figma for design and Jira for task tracking. So Chris is able to add smart chips that link out to the Figma project, Figma design and link out to the Jira project. And these smart chips have inline previews. So when someone opens up that document and is reading it, they aren't presented with 17 links and they have to click through it to see what's interesting, each one of them. They can see an immediate preview in line and decide if they need to go through and see the full experience or the preview was sufficient. So it was a pretty productive day for Chris and his team, and even more productive because they took advantage of all the partnerships that Workspace has to enhance their experience. So with that, I'd now like to invite Ava and Genevieve up to the stage to walk you through Atlassian's partnership with Workspace and see how we're working together to make our users' life more productive.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'm Malla, and I lead global partnerships for Workspace, Google's productivity suite. I am thrilled today to welcome Genevieve Sheehan, VP for Product at Confluence Atlassian. Genevieve, it is so great to have you here today. I would love to start by asking you for your perspective on the needs of a modern knowledge worker. In particular, what are some of the partnership like ours? How does it fit in that? What role does it play in that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ava, for having me here, and Matt for starting us off with showing the power that we're bringing into Google Workspace and with our integrations. So the issue that modern knowledge workers have is not too different than the problems that all of us face. How do we get our work done, get it done right, and get it done with our team? But the challenge that we have is digital tools make that easier, but it isn't as seamless and easy as it could be. And part of the issue there is actually the tools. We spend a lot of time looking for the right work, moving between information, and just searching for the right stuff to get our work done. I know if I think about my last working day, I'm using a dozen apps to juggle back and forth between the right places and right information. And it isn't just anecdotal. Harvard Business Review has done a study that says that there's 4 hours of lost productivity for every person inside every single week. And if you scale that across the entire year, that means that 5 working weeks of my week or your week, your year or my year is actually wasted just switching between apps and figuring out how to get back to the right context. So the challenge for those knowledge workers is making sure they can find the right information at the right time. And that's how, working together as Google and Atlassian and other leaders in the field, we make sure that we prioritize a diverse app ecosystem. What that really means is when we build tools, we don't just let them exist in silos. We build ways for them to work closely together so that for the end user, you have a seamless experience rather than having to always juggle. At Atlassian, we're built on a platform that's open by design, and this gives teams the freedom to use the tools that they want and need to find those right pieces of work, but also integrate that with all of their other favorite tools, like stuff that Google has built.
I couldn't agree with you more about switching contexts and apps. I mean, even to accomplish a simple task like filing for a vacation, we have to switch between so many apps today. So Genevieve, what are some of the user benefits of the integration between Atlassian products and Workspace?
Yeah, so in Google, as Matt said, many customers rely on Google tools and especially Google Workspace as their primary productivity suite, the place that they might start or end their day, or is tying a lot of their work together. But the workflows that people have extend across multiple of our platforms. So by bringing Atlassian and Google Workspace tools closer together, that gives end users a seamless product experience. So let's give an example. Matt talked about an example of people having a meeting in Meet, but here's another place that we've built together to allow the Atlassian platform to work directly with Google Meet. So here, without leaving Google Meet, if I'm in a meeting with multiple of my coworkers, I can open that Confluence page and not only present the content, but actually have everyone in that meeting who needs to be co-editing or doing work, doing that right inside the Google Meet frame. And that's part of the power of integration, is you can do the work you need to do right from the tool you're active in with other work there. And even though this seems like a small tweak, this goes so far beyond I've clicked a button to share my screen. For me, every time I join a virtual meeting, and I work remotely, I'm toggling all of these apps. I've got one window here. I'm switching the video so that I can put the work that I need to edit while people are talking, and it just becomes a mess. It's so hard to keep track of. But with this Meet integration with the Confluence page live, I can see the people I need to see and have that conversation still inside the Meet frame, and we're all doing the work and contributing together. So no more toggling tabs, no more figuring out where you update. And this is coming live almost immediately.
That sounds awesome. I'm sure top of mind for our audience is, what are some of the integrations, other integrations that we're working on? So could we please walk them through that?
Yeah, and if you weren't paying attention with Matt, I'm happy to highlight those again. Another place that we've done a lot of integration is making sure that the right content is in the right place. So Atlassian was one of the first partners to support Google Smart Chips that lets you preview and unfurl the content you need right from inside your Google Documents. So today, if I have a Confluence document or a Jira project link, I can see that straight inside Google Docs and understand what's there. So users can quickly click to see their project status or the page details. And we have parallel functionality in our Atlassian platform such that Atlassian Smart Links unfurl Google Doc sheets and slides so you can see either just the correct title or a fully unfurled preview so that wherever you are inside that tool, you have the right information from the other suite. And right now this is in Docs, but we also plan to bring it to Sheets and Slides soon. Now another favorite integration that Matt covered is Jira and Google Chat. So if you're right inside a chat, you're discussing what you want to do, and let's start this feature. Just from one command, you can open up a new Jira issue. And this is, again, keeping people, without losing context, in the flow of their work, using all the right tools.
These integrations sound great, and I can't wait for these all to launch and be experienced by our mutual customers and users. So just switching gears a little bit, given AI is such topic du jour, we'd love to hear your perspective on AI and its ability to supercharge the workflows for our users.
Yeah, so I think that we're only limited by our imagination in terms of what AI can do to the work that we're trying to do today, and really has the potential to take teamwork to the next level. So already, we have a lot of digital tools that make it really easy for us to produce content. But generative AI really turbocharges that and lets us not only press a button to create content, but to get ideas, to synthesize what's happening, to change the format and form factor such that we have the right content and are doing that more quickly. And that's good, so long as you can navigate all of that information and find the right things, not just get overrun by a proliferation of work. In AI, as long as we can then surface the most relevant content and get the right people to that information, then you can get even more work done. You're not just searching for what you need. AI is actually really moving forward your ability to do work.
That sounds really interesting. What are some of the use cases as well as critical user journeys you think AI has the ability to disrupt as well as enhance?
Yeah, so as well as the generative case, what knowledge workers also need is to confirm, is this content correct? Is it up to date? In some cases, has it been verified by the right person or people or processes? Has it been vetted? Is this something I can trust? And AI can really help us there. Go from just a mess of content that's all inside one tool to, do I have the right things? AI can also help with workflows and automation, and Matt covered this really well in the way that Google is approaching it. We're also thinking about this from an Atlassian point of view. And I think that when then as platforms we think about this together, it's both about taking busy work and repetitive tasks, suggesting and setting up rules, enabling some of that busy work or things that take a lot of clicks to just be abstracted away, and making sure that workflows flow together instead of having to have someone actually tie them together themselves. So AI in the workplace done right can just make us so much more efficient and able to focus on the work that requires our brains, not just all of the little things that are distracting us.
That makes so much sense. Well, looking ahead, would like to wrap up with just getting your perspective on vision for future integrations between Atlassian products and Workspace.
Yeah, so we have so many things that we've worked on together, and I look forward to extending those even further. So, for example, once you see one tool working in the platform, can we bring that to other tools? When we have Jira and Confluence, can we then extend those or extend the actions that we can do? Right now, Google Docs has a position for Confluence and Jira issues, but can we bring that to Sheets and Slides? And similarly, as we bring even more ability to create work, for example, inside Confluence with whiteboards, we make sure that the right Google documents show up there as well. I think additionally, as we move into not just enabling generative work, but also really connecting workflows, making sure that we're making that easy on the end user and tying together the work they need to do is another place that our partnership can just go deeper. So I look forward to next year coming and talking about all of those as we launch them together.
That sounds great, Genevieve. Thank you so much for your time today, for being with us here, sharing your perspective on our shared workflow vision, as well as how AI can supercharge it. Well, thank you all for listening, and Genevieve and I will be back for Q&A, but over to Matt for now.
Thanks, Ava and Genevieve. So, speaking of AI, we have some updates to share with you about new partners in our growing ecosystem of AI partners. We've not only been building AI into Workspace, but we've also been working to bring AI native partners to Workspace. So I'll start with Typeface. Typeface is a company that had an insight that creating cross-channel marketing content was too time and resource intensive. And also that the standard AI tools are typically very generic. I'd love to stand here up on stage and tell you that Bard solves every problem everywhere perfectly all the time. The reality is that today you want an AI that is custom built for certain scenarios in many cases, or custom trained, I suppose is the right wording. So with Typeface, marketers can create on-brand marketing content across multiple channels. It learns your brand's voice, products, and audience segments to tailor creations just for your brand. And so Typeface integrates with Google Workspace to generate any kind of content, social posts, ads, blogs, and more. It's an example of streamlining content creation workflows from within Workspace. Another partner that we're working with is Jasper, another Gen AI native partner. Jasper's secure and on-brand AI assistant is now available, it's available actually today. You can go download it and try it out in Workspace. And it also helps marketers build impactful marketing content. Docs add-on is live today in the Workspace Marketplace if you'd like to try it out, and the Sheets add-on is coming soon. And you can see the example here in the video where a user is able to ask Jasper via the Sheets add-on to create Google Ads headlines in multiple languages just by giving contextual input in Sheets, in this case prompts like audience and offers. But you can see you can give it a long list of inputs, click a couple buttons, and you now have an entire range of marketing campaigns just with a few prompts. This is a couple examples of how we are bringing Gen AI partners into Workspace to make end users' work more productive. But it's not just about helping end users. We also want to help app makers. And so we're very excited about Duet AI in AppSheet. This allows an app maker to build and customize an application in natural language. That is, as a person who would like to build a custom app, you can describe in plain language what you'd like that app to do. Roughly speaking, where the data is coming from, what the processes are that that app will handle, and any other app elements that you'd quite like. So it's very much an interactive dialogue format. So instead of typing code, you're just describing to the AI what you'd like that app to do. This will produce an app that will work on desktop or mobile, or even embedded apps in Gmail or Chat. You can actually even start your app experience within Google Chat. So you can start talking to AppSheet from within Google Chat, and then go directly to the AppSheet editor if you want to make detailed edits later. So how can you make some of these streamlined workflows real today? Well, I mentioned I'd talk about some of our latest platform capabilities, so I want to make sure I highlight some of the improvements we've made to the platform over the last little while and some of the things that are coming soon. But most importantly, every capability we build is only interesting when it's adopted by developers and our developer partners. I often tell my team, if you build an API and nobody uses it, did you really build an API? And so it's foundationally important to us that we have an ecosystem adopting our platform and showing off amazing use cases that, again, benefit our joint customers. And we've got a lot of partners in our ecosystem, some big, some small, some are startups, some are long-established players, and we're really excited to see the continuing growth of that ecosystem. So let's see some of these new capabilities and how they're being used. I'll start with Google Chat, which is a critical connectivity tool for hybrid organizations around the world. Chat apps, and you've seen some examples already, allow developers to integrate workflows right into the context of a conversation. And meanwhile, AI capabilities like natural language processing actually make it even easier for somebody to build a chat app and make it both quick and immediately productive and understand user intent very quickly. And so we've seen a lot of partners like Zendesk and PagerDuty who are already creating powerful chat apps to embed the ability for users to interact with those tools right from within Google Chat. Now, one of the big launches that I'd like to highlight is actually the Chat API. It has actually just, I think in the last week, gone to general availability. Chat API has all the basic CRUD components you expect in a REST API, be able to read, write messages, event notification. And we are also working on more advanced capabilities like the ability to migrate larger amounts of data built on top of that. Google Meet is the tool you use to stay connected in the hybrid workplace. And we saw earlier, this is the tool that Chris uses with his team as well. You saw earlier today a lot of Gen AI features being announced by Para in the morning. Those, of course, were largely features within Meet, so first-party features within Meet. But we'd like to start making Meet more available to developers. And so a few different aspects I'd like to touch on. One is the Google Meet REST API, very similar to the Chat API. You can programmatically create a meeting. You can programmatically download transcripts as examples. So just think of the things you can do automatically with access to that programmatic API. Next is the Meet add-ons SDK. I gave the example of Figma being embedded within Meet. The Google Add-ons SDK allows you to embed your app within the main stage, that is, take over the main screen, or be a sidebar experience, so people can the folks who are in the meeting can still be doing something interactive and seeing each other in the meeting while interacting with a smaller experience off on the sidebar. Both of those are now available in public preview. And finally, we've been working on and starting to reach preview with our Embed SDK. This looks at the ability of how we embed Google Meet into other applications. So if you wanted to embed video, specifically Google Meet video, within your application, that is what the Google Meet SDK, Embed SDK will help you do. We mentioned smart chips a couple times. They help you enable smooth workflows across Google Docs. You can see previews of data from external resources, things like project thumbnails, customer records, dashboards, all types of things where you want to understand what is this link and get a preview of it without having to follow it and read an entire document to figure out what it's about. Third-party chart chips extend the add-on frameworks. There's a type of add-on, and they're available in full general availability today. And most importantly, only on Google Workspace, as the capability is actually not available in a number of our competitor platforms. Now, we've seen a really strong reception from smart chips, and so we're investing more heavily here. We will be bringing them to additional services, as well as adding more capabilities. And so one capability I'd like to highlight, not yet available, coming towards the end of the year, is we will enable developers to extend the app menu within Docs. So the app menu is a popular accelerator with Google Docs, allows you to quickly access various types of functionality, including building blocks, smart chips, and other accelerators right from the canvas within Docs. And so we will allow third parties and second parties, so developers, to extend the app menu to embed capabilities that you can think of. Now, a while back, we added working location to Google Calendar, and as will surprise nobody in a room of folks who are interested in developer topics, the #1 feature request we got was for an API. And so we're really excited to announce that the API is not only built, but is now generally available. That is both a read and write API for working location. You can imagine using that to synchronize with third-party tools for desk booking or resource management type applications. Now, when you've built something and you'd like to distribute an add-on, a chat app, we have the Workspace Marketplace. I mentioned the very large number of downloads that we've seen coming from the Marketplace. The Marketplace is built for both publicly available apps, that is something you are launching to the Marketplace to allow others outside of your company to access, as well as domain internal apps. So if you are building something within your domain and you only want other users within your domain to access that, the Marketplace supports that as well. And one thing we've been working on with the Marketplace with the rise of AI is to help those apps stand out. And so we've introduced a new category in the Marketplace, intelligent apps, to allow users to quickly find AI-powered apps. Now, as a developer, we spent a lot of this talk talking about end-user features, but developers are also interested in the types of tooling that are available to them. And so I've talked about a couple of these things already, but we've talked about AppSheet. AppSheet is a no-code tool allowing you to build apps and workflows without any coding whatsoever. So you simply drag pre-existing components, connect it to a data source, and you can produce a fairly simple app. For those with more coding experience who want more control over the exact componentry they're building, we have AppScript. AppScript is based off of JavaScript. It has a built-in IDE and comes complete with a cloud environment. So there's no need to figure out how to spin up a cloud environment, or if you have some user who simply wants to write a small script, they don't have to figure out how to get a machine to run it on, or run a command line, or spin up a GCP runtime. All that comes together within AppScript and is available to all users of Workspace. Finally, if you're a professional developer, we've continued to work on, in addition to the features that we've talked about, we've continued to work on some of the other aspects that make it appealing to be a professional developer. We're all constantly working on our documentation. And one thing that we've introduced recently is the API Explorer, which allows you within one place to see all of our APIs and play with them in a sandbox. So if you aren't sure what this API does, or you aren't sure what types of response codes it might give, rather than just reading the documentation, you can actually try it out right there from within our documentation. So we're excited to get these latest platform capabilities into your hands, and can't wait to see what you build for yourself, for your business, for selling to other business on top of Workspace. Now, to start building, there's a couple of things I'd like to point you to. One is our developer preview program. We are, for the most part, launching all of our net new platform capabilities to the developer preview program first. This gives us a chance to get feedback and a chance for you to start building on top of our APIs and platform before they go to full general availability, and therefore, when they are available, you are able to launch your solutions immediately. We also have a relatively new YouTube channel. This allows you, of course, to understand in depth some of the new features that we launch. So don't forget to check out the rest of the Workspace sessions. I know this is just the first day of the conference, and we have quite a few Workspace sessions, a few of them listed there on screen. We are out in the showcase floor and in the Hive developer zone. I know our entire developer relations team is here. Our product team has quite a number of representatives here who are cycling in and out of the Hive zone, and we'd love for you to come by, chat with us, ask any questions you might have, let us know what you're thinking. If you want to submit a feature request, we're happy to hear about those as well. But feel free to come on by. So with that, thank you all for coming, and please enjoy the rest of the time next. I believe Ava and Genevieve will come back up for Q&A, but thank you for taking the time.